Dressed to Kill was a 1980 erotic thriller written and directed by Brian De Palma. The film stars Michael Caine, Angie Dickinson, Nancy Allen, and Keith Gordon. The film was primarily shot in New York City, although the art gallery scene was filmed at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. There are two versions of the movie that exist in North America, an R-rated version and an unrated version. The unrated version is around 30 seconds longer and shows a little more explicit nudity in the shower scene, more blood in the elevator scene, and more explicit dialogue from Liz during the scene in Elliot's office. These scenes were trimmed out so that the Motion Picture Association would remove its X rating that it had originally given the movie because of these graphic scenes. The plot tells the disturbing story of a murdered suburbanite, a high-class escort, and a transgendered killer that are from different metropolitan worlds whose paths intersect on the streets of New York City. Kate Miller is the lead in the film, played by Angie Dickinson. She's a frustrated housewife and the patient of an Upper East Side psychiatrist named Robert Elliott, played by Michael Caine. She seeks out liaisons with strange men to energize her tedious sex life. After an encounter with a nameless museum goer in his downtown apartment, she's brutally stabbed by a disguised transsexual, known only as Bobby, who is another one of Elliot's patients. The lone witness to her death is Liz Blake, played by Nancy Allen. She's implicated in the crime by the police as she goes on to attempt to find the real person responsible for this murder before she becomes Bobby's target. The remainder of the film is a cat and mouse game across the city between Blake, Elliot, and Bobby, who fills up the doctor's phone messages announcing designs for her next murder. The film showcases a kaleidoscopic atmosphere as its watery, soft-focus lenses, color palette, and optical tricks such as slow motion, mirrored surfaces, split screens awaken your senses. The tense melodies of the soundtrack, likewise, add to the things that make your hair stand on end. The director, De Palma, is a master at creating atmosphere, and there's no other greater display of this than the film's early museum set piece, which is a 10-minute dialogue-free sequence in which the director's viewfinder glides around Dickinson's character and through the Met's galleries and corridors while she pursues and then is pursued by a potential suitor. With no words being said, the scene's tension and pace builds. I've never personally seen any better dialogue-free scene than you'll see in this movie. Angie Dickinson made the statement on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, saying that this movie was one of the favorites that she was ever in. It's kind of funny that she loves this film so much because the movie has been blasted by critics for its portrayal of women. Both Angie Dickinson and Michael Caine stated that De Palma was a brilliant filmmaker, but he showed very few emotions with the actors and crew while filming took place, making it somewhat hard for the actors to read whether their parts were being played the way the director viewed them. The exteriors of the museum scene were shot in New York City. However, those interior shots were done in Philadelphia at the art museum there. That scene that's completely dialogue-free was supposed to have voiceover dialogue done by Angie Dickinson playing Kate Miller's character. But without the dialogue, it is so much more effective. Sean Connery was offered the role that Michael Caine got of Dr. Robert Elliott, and he was enthusiastic about this, but he had to decline the role on the account that he was previously committed to some other movie project. The director also wanted Liv Ullmann to play the role of Kate Miller, but she declined. He then sought out Angie Dickinson, and she accepted. I love little tidbits of trivia that are found throughout a movie that you always miss until you've really done some research into them. And one of those is the scene where Angie Dickinson's character finds the form about the person that she slept with having venereal disease. The date listed on the form is 11/17/80. November 17th is the birthday of director Martin Scorsese. Scorsese and De Palma are very close friends, and this was done as a hats off to his buddy. It took the poster photographic art director 5 days to find the stiletto high heel shoes that were used in the one-sheet theatrical poster. Also, since these said shoes were size 11, they had to be stuffed with tissue paper in order for the model to wear them when the shoot took place. Angie Dickinson, Nancy Allen, Keith Gordon, all of them praised Michael Caine's generosity and professionalism. As the main star, he was only required to be on the set when his character was in a shot. But all three of them stated that he insisted on being there whenever his character was not in a shot, so that his co-stars would always be performing to his character and not using a stand-in or nothing at all. Near the beginning of the dazzling museum cat and mouse sequence, Kate Miller takes off her left glove, which is an important plot point, to display her wedding ring to this handsome stranger. Her purpose for this was not really clear to the viewer, whether or not it was an attempt to broadcast that she was married and not available, or that because she was married, she was a safe bet for a brief, no-strings-attached encounter. Plus, she also has those gloves that she wore in that sequence, as she kept them because of her great fondness for the film. In the beginning scene, Angie Dickinson's character is shown taking a shower. Most people felt like this was actually Angie Dickinson. And when the movie first came out, the producers encouraged the then 48-year-old Dickinson to claim that the body was hers. Although it's pretty evident that this is not a 48-year-old body. And it wasn't. It finally came out that it was actually a body double who was Victoria Johnson. At the age of 24, Victoria was chosen as Penthouse Pet of the Month for August of 1976. The one thing they did ask her to do in the shower scene, which is pretty front on, is to dye her downtown hair. I don't think I've ever seen a film straight out of the gate hit you in the face with this type of scene, and it surely gathers your attention to start with. Take a look back at this film. There's good points, which are quite a few, but there's also a learning curve that De Palma is going through with this film. And maybe it's not the director's fault at all, because most of what you see is great, but some of the lesser actors in the film are pretty poor. If you look past that, this is a great show to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.